We wanted to do the best we could to retain our youth. We did so with, I suppose, mixed results. Somebody said you win some, you lose some. Well, we suffered from the loss of some of the kids, kind of drifted away from the church and drifted away from the programs that we had. But by the same token, we managed to hold on to a few of them, and that I think was one of the probably one of the important things we had to do at that time. I saw that as an important ministry. Thankfully, for me, I had a lot of support from the congregation in the efforts we made with our youth.
The church's very first pictorial directory was released in celebration of the anniversary. At the time, Pastor Odden noted that the growth pattern in Dubuque was not favorable to downtown churches.
Several things prompted my thinking. One is, in the area of new membership, as an example. I used to make calls on people who were new in the community and so on. It was very hard to convince a person that they should drive by Holy Trinity or drive by St. Peter to come to St. Matthew. And so as I began to reflect on this, I began to reflect that we need to find a way to serve the aging community downtown. My idea was that we've got to develop some programs that are going to make St. Matthew distinct to what St. Matthew's place is in the community and in the church.
By the mid-1970s, the Food and Friendship Group was established as part of Project Concern, first led at St. Matthew by Darlene Rolfe.
They were trying to get the neighborhood together so that they could get to know each other, so they would know their neighbors. So we started inviting people that lived within a 2-block radius. Over the years, the older people have moved out of this area and our numbers were dwindling, so we decided to add our own members to come to the meal. So we have maybe 40 people from our own church that now attend. We are also the only church that still does this program, so that's kind of an honor.
The strength of the program was another reason for the church kitchen to be upgraded. The kitchen went through extensive remodeling with updated wiring to accommodate air conditioning.
Good donuts. We always have donuts every after each service.
What did you pick out today?
I love glazed donuts. They are my favorite.
That same year, nearly 30 Luther Leaguers attended the youth gathering in New Orleans. The 1970s were drawn to a close. Renovations continued through 1979 to the cost of $84,000. Plexiglass was installed to the outside of the stained glass windows for insulation as well as protection. Additional landscaping was done to add beauty to the outside of the church building. And St. Matthew was poised to celebrate yet another milestone, 75 years, the Diamond Jubilee.
Probably the most difficult part of the renovation was in the area of the pews. And I guess Pastor Lutz was instrumental in getting the pews. And Pastor Lutz was, especially among the older people, was one step away from sainthood in their eyes. And of course, what Pastor Lutz had done was to be done forever. And I'm not saying this in any disparaging way. I'm just saying that this was the fact. And we still had a number of people who said, oh, those pews, you know, they're the most beautiful and comfortable pews that you could ever hope to have. The pews were becoming quite broken. People complained sometimes that the pews would pinch when they'd sit down and so on. We sold the pews to somebody in Batavia, Illinois, and he had specific instructions when he bought the pews. He said, now when I come in, he said, I don't want any member of the church there. Because he said, I'm going to saw those pews. And he said, I've had an experience of this before. He said, some member will come in there and just about tear me apart because I'm cutting them. But he said, we cut them because then we rebuild them for another church. But he said, we have to cut them in order to, because they're too long for us to handle. Well, anyway, that was so in comes the chainsaw.
By November 1978, a center aisle was visible for the first time. Mr. and Mrs. Fred Hershey donated a quadrille carillon to the church.
To begin with, he said, I want to make it a surprise. And one day we got these huge boxes into the church, Well, where was I going to put these boxes? And so I put them in one of the Sunday school rooms. It wasn't used very often for too many things, thinking, well, not too many people are going to bump into this thing. Well, lo and behold, of course, somebody saw it. So somebody comes up and says, what are those boxes doing in there? I said, well, they're kind of they're a surprise. They're going to be, I can't tell you. Well, of course, I couldn't tell them because Fred had been giving me strict instructions. I wanted to be a surprise on Christmas Eve. Some people were surprised. Well, a lot of people were surprised. But by the time we got them in, the surprise had kind of been lost. It was a semi-surprise by the time Christmas came.
Church member Ray Sanger donated a memorable gift to St. Matthew around this time, a beautiful nativity set that would become a tradition each and every year thereafter.